What's good people, and welcome to the Silly, Nerdy, Sometimes Wordy podcast, and I'm your host, BK, and this is episode 37, Super Bowl 58, my nerdy thoughts on the game and everything around the game. And in this episode, I'll be covering Super Bowl 58, previewing the matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, along with all the craziness that happens around the game, the Super Bowl itself. All right, what's up, everybody? I hope everybody is doing very, very well out there. Hope you've been having a nice couple weeks. The game is upcoming in a few days, and let's get into our topic today. There are no nerdy notes for this episode. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about to get out the way kind of is just the actual game itself, because at the end of the day, despite all the hoopla, the performances, and everything that's going around, it comes down to a football game. That is why, a large portion of us are excited to watch the game. I know there's lots of other things happening, which I'm actually looking forward to seeing myself as well. But let's talk about the actual game. This is a rematch of the Super Bowl 54 from 4 years ago between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. There was a different starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. Back then, it was Jimmy Garoppolo. This season, however, it is Brock Purdy, along with other personnel changes, but there are some players that were on both teams that were in that game that are still in this game as well. But the Chiefs offense is not as explosive as it's been in years past. This season, it's been primarily their defense that has been carrying them, along with their running game, specifically with Isaiah Pacheco, and timely plays by Patrick Mahomes, being Patrick Mahomes. And he has been able to lean on primarily, obviously, with Travis Kelce and the emergence of Rashid Rice. Those have been the two trusted receivers / tight end pass catchers that Patrick Mahomes has been leaning on, along with timely scrambles when things break down. And like I said, this Kansas City Chiefs team has gone through some stuff. They had some drops in the playoffs, and through this season. It's been their defense, their defensive line, as well as their corners, their secondary. It's been pretty good this season, and they will be leaning on them as well. They have been vulnerable to the run. San Francisco has been very good with the run. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey will be key. So I believe if there is time left on the clock, and if this is close, I believe the Chiefs will ultimately win this game. I feel like it's turning into, if you leave time on the clock, if you did it with Brady, there was a good chance that he was going to win, which had happened many, many times. And I think this is happening again. This is kind of becoming the theme with Patrick Mahomes. If you leave any time on the clock, you're always gonna have a chance to win. Now, speaking of the San Francisco 49ers, this team is loaded with weapons on both sides of the ball, particularly on the offense. They have so many skilled positions. Brock Purdy has been emerging and been pretty good at times and has had some progression, I'll say. But he has a lot of weapons to get the ball to. Obviously, the running game with Christian McCaffrey, your receivers with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, got your tight end George Kittle. You can throw in Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback, not your normal fullback, but he is utilized as well. And yeah, different weapons to choose from, as well as having Deebo Samuel in the backfield as well. The offensive line has been pretty solid, I would say. Trent Williams is the standout there. They've been able to move him and pull him a lot as well. So they will need to, I would say, run the ball with Christian McCaffrey, make this a big Christian McCaffrey game. One of the weaknesses I've heard, has been the Kansas City Chiefs run defense. So that is something that definitely should do, is run the ball to set up the pass and take your shots when you get them. Of course, the Niners will be using a lot of pre-snap motion, as they like to do quite often, as well as their pass catchers. They have the some of the better pass catching, blocking receivers and tight ends in the league, allowing Christian McCaffrey to get those large runs. And then the defense has been pretty solid as well. Obviously, the defensive line and the linebackers, the best in the game this season. So I'm looking forward to this game. I think Kansas City will ultimately win this game, but I would not be surprised if San Francisco wins this game. Things have happened where you expect one team to win and another team does win. Back in the day, we thought the Patriots would beat the New York Giants in those two Super Bowls, and that didn't happen. Didn't expect the Giants to win those two Super Bowls. And also with the Patriots winning their very first Super Bowl in that run, the Rams were expected to win, and we didn't think the Patriots would win, but they did. So it is possible. We will see what happens. I'm looking forward to this game. It's bittersweet because it's the last meaningful football game of the year. And once this game is done, there will be no more meaningful NFL football until September. But it's been a great season. We'll see how it ends, and then we will move on to the off season. I'll start to just kind of pay attention a little bit more to the NBA and tennis as well. So that's the game. I'm not going to give a prediction or a score of anything. So I'm excited to watch it and see how this game goes. Now, I'm going to talk about the Super Bowl itself, the kind of a big picture thing. And before I do that, one other thing about the game or the process, talking about the Super Bowl itself, is I believe amongst the five major team sports, if you include the WNBA, this championship round is the most widely watched and media attention out of all of the other team sports. Of course, the intensity and the attention does increase with the NBA Finals, with the World Series, with the Stanley Cup Finals and the WNBA Finals. Obviously, those team sports, they have multiple games to win their championship, best of 7 for all of those. In the WNBA, I think it's best of 5, I think. And obviously football, it's one and done. You have one game to win it. So it is a big deal. It's a big deal for all of those sports, but the week that leads up to the Super Bowl and all of the media attention that descends on that Super Bowl city, it's nothing like it. For instance, let me talk about the the players and the coaches as they are preparing for this Super Bowl game on Sunday, which is played at a much later time on Sunday. The actual kickoff starts at 6:30-ish, slightly after 6:30 p.m. And in addition to the players and coaches and everybody that's involved with the team for this game, they have a lot more media obligations, meaning they're talking, once they get to the Super Bowl city, they are talking to the media every day until Thursday. I believe Thursday is their last day of talking to the media. Obviously, they have, which used to be called Super Bowl Media Day. Now it's called Opening Night. But back in the day, before they made this change, Super Bowl Media Day was on the Wednesday of the Super Bowl week. It would be in the middle of the week. They would go to the Super Bowl stadium. Each team would have about an hour and change, and that reporters would descend, local and national and international media would descend to ask questions, game questions, any type of questions, silly questions from all different types of outlets. And it would just be on a random, or it'd just be on that Wednesday afternoon. But now, for the last, let's say, 5 to 7 years or so, the league has changed it and made it a primetime event, meaning instead of Wednesday afternoon, it's now on the first night of Super Bowl week. It's on the Monday night at 8 p.m. They'll have both teams come, and it's made into a bigger event. And after that, like I said, the players and coaches are continually talking to the media every day up until Thursday. And this is also with them still practicing and preparing for this game. They're talking to the media so much. And yeah, the Super Bowl, the event itself, it's a really big deal. The media presence is massive, and it increases year after year after year. There's just so many things that happen. Obviously, you have a Super Bowl halftime show. It's announced during the season, whether it's a band or an artist. Where this year, obviously, it's going to be Usher. That will be the Super Bowl halftime show, and halftime is longer. The timeouts and commercials are longer. Obviously, you have companies paying millions and millions of dollars for Super Bowl spots for 30-second ads, 15-second ad, or longer. And it's just a big deal. In addition to that, obviously, I am looking forward to the game, but one of the things I also look forward to is the commercials, just to get a good laugh, as well as, seeing potential movie trailers and TV trailers of upcoming shows and movies. And by the way, this game will be broadcast on CBS this year. It will be on CBS as well as streaming on Paramount Plus. There'll also be a broadcast on Nickelodeon, a different type of broadcast with slime and different graphics. If you've seen the previous playoff games that have been broadcast on Nickelodeon. So if kids want to get into it, watch it, they could watch the Nickelodeon broadcast as well. But back to the Super Bowl. Like I said, the Super Bowl is a big, big deal. I mean, they even announce, for instance, the referees. The referees are announced. There's a press release that's sent out with the pictures of the referees. Like, these are your Super Bowl referees. They'll have their picture. And they'll also show the number of, let's say, Super Bowl games / playoff games that those particular referees, the crew, has been a part of, whether it's their very first one, their seventh one, their second one. They'll put out a press release about that, as well as who's going to be doing the national anthem, the America the Beautiful, all of that stuff is put out in advance of the game. The Super Bowl halftime show performer, they get a press conference as well during the week, and it's just a week long celebration. It's a lot, but it's just so much that goes into the game. And of course, I mentioned movie trailers, and some big movie trailers have dropped over the years during the Super Bowl halftime show. I remember, what was it, 7 years ago, they released the first look at the second Captain America movie, Civil War. That was a big one. And for instance, this year, some of the rumored movie trailers are expected to be released during the Super Bowl are Deadpool 3. We'll get a first look at that. Inside Out 2. Kingdom, Planet of the Apes. Twisters, which is a sequel to the 1996 film Twister. Kung Fu Panda 4, and Wicked Part 1. And another thing that has been a big thing with the Super Bowl, as well as the particular network that has broadcast the Super Bowl, they like to put one of their newest or better TV shows and they like to premiere it immediately after the Super Bowl broadcast is over. They will say, okay, once the Super Bowl ends, stay tuned for such and such show premiering, right after. For instance, this year, it's going to be CBS's new show called Tracker. And years past, or back in the day, for instance, when Fox had the Super Bowl many times over, 24 was one of my most favorite shows of all time. If you know that show, it was great, ahead of its time. And many times they would premiere the new season of 24 right after the Super Bowl ended. Another show they did back when the Super Bowl was on ABC, Alias, a new season of Alias, they would premiere that show. So a lot of times you'll see, regardless of what network it's going to be on, they will premiere a brand new show or a new season of a show immediately after, and kind of market that to go along with the Super Bowl. And yeah, like I said, there's a huge media presence. Also, all of the different sports media, TV shows take their show on the road and broadcast their shows for the week in that Super Bowl city. And there is this area that is called Radio Row. And all of the major sports radio shows, I don't think it's not a lot of major radio shows now. It's mainly a lot of podcasts and, podcast/ radio shows that are simulcast. But they take their shows and they're broadcast there from that Super Bowl city. So everybody descends, current NFL players, former retired NFL players, players from different leagues, different sports, athletes, actors, directors, just different people, musicians that are in Hollywood. They go and they're interviewing from Radio Row, pushing whatever project or just there because they want to be a part of it. And they all go there to talk to the different sports networks or podcasts, or nowadays YouTube channels. They're on Radio Row, just hyping up the game. And so that's a big thing that's always happening there at Radio Row. Another thing is players and coaches. If you do something that is not good, attention will be known because it is a Super Bowl. So there have been times where there's things in the past where a coach or a player did something the night before or the week of, and it comes out in a report, and that's a major distraction for the team. And it's happened many times in the past. Of course, nowadays everybody has a phone, and everybody likes to do the thing to pull up their phone and just start recording everything because that's just a thing that people do. But there have been times where a coach has done something, whether it's mainly it's been an assistant coach that's done something that's really not good for the team prior to the game, or players as well. And there have been some instances where the coach did not participate in, was not a part of the game in the Super Bowl. Players as well. So that's a major thing as well. So the Super Bowl is, yes, it's mainly about the game, but it's also about the celebrities and all this pregame stuff, the commercials, the millions of dollars that are spent on commercials, the movie trailers that are released, networks attaching their TV shows to the Super Bowl after it ends so they can pump up that particular show. Obviously, you got the Super Bowl halftime show with the music, and people will be talking about that. And some people only want to watch the Super Bowl just to see, their favorite band or artist that is performing during the Super Bowl as well. So it's a lot that happens for the Super Bowl. It's an event for sure. Some people want it to be a national holiday, but hey, that is what it is. So I just wanted to give my thoughts on the game, as well as just what the Super Bowl is. It's a big deal. Millions of people are watching. The ratings seem to go up year after year, and crazy things happen. Of course, one year you had the wardrobe malfunction at the Super Bowl halftime show with JT and Janet. So, things do happen. And we'll see how this game goes. I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to the commercials and the movie trailers. That is all I have for you today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoy the game. Please check me out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Please give me a subscribe, a follow, and let other people know about it. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, we will talk soon.